Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, staff, students. I am Dr. Evan Murphy, BSc Honors, PhD, PGCE, FJSPS. So I have a lot of names, a lot of nominals, post-nominals, and honorifics. And usually when students hear, Dr. Murphy, head of science, he's going to be my teacher this year, they usually come up with an image in their head, the real. And this is often probably what they think. He has this upward trajectory, always successful, always growing, clearly top of his game, and life has probably been fairly easy getting there. This might be what they also see, okay? A professional who has it all figured out. Someone with a natural aptitude, very clever, knows all of the sciences really, really well, and made it through life sailing on the back of success after success. But of course, reality isn't always what we see on the outside. There's a lot more internal to the successes that we make. Yes, I do have a PhD. Yes, I am the head of science, but I was not always like that. I was not always motivated. I learned from a young age that to better yourself, to be better, we need to continuously grow, continuously learn. And even today, I'm still at school, I'm still doing more courses, still learning. I don't naturally have a talent for academics. It was something that grew with me, actually quite late in life. I was not a very successful high school student, which we'll see in a second. And the last one I think is the most important one. Students are told from a young age, key stage 3, key stage 4, key stage 5, what do you want to be? As if there's only one path, as if there's only one goal. But statistically, adults have about 3 major career changes in their lives. So this is me. This is a summary of what I was like at school. Okay, I was what you may call clever in that middle school, key stage 3, I found easy. I didn't have to put in hard work, and I still got good grades. What I call high school, what we call key stage 4, I found easy. I didn't have to put in the work, and I got good grades. Until A-levels. A-level mathematics specifically was the ceiling of my talent. When I hit that ceiling, what happens? I failed. So actually, I did not pass high school on the first time around. And I think you actually find that with a lot of academic people. They have struggles academically. Mine was maths. And so talent without effort leads to stagnation. I couldn't grow any further without trying. And that was a very, very hard lesson to learn. So this is the start of my reel. It did not go upward as planned. It went down. Now, thankfully in Canada, we can resit our grades. So I had to spend my entire year 12 summer in school, learning calculus every day. And thankfully, resitting those exams, I eventually passed, and I got my high school diploma. Yay! But because I had to spend my summer in school, it meant I had to defer university for a whole year. So all of my peers and friends in year 12, they were going off to university while I was still stuck at home, okay? In Canada, we can work from around the age of 15, 16, so I'd always had a part-time job. I was a customer service agent. I'm from Canada, so naturally, I sold skis and snowboards. And luckily, in the end, I landed in a science role. I was a lab technician. I could actually apply the sciences I was learning in school to a vocation. And that was really, really enjoyable for me. So 1 year later, I made it to Brock University, where I was applying for my bachelor's in science. Now, does that mean university I did amazingly well? Had I learned my lesson? Yes and no. We all have our ups and downs. I learned very quickly that my passion in life is biology. So the biology courses, I flourished. I absolutely loved them. Physics, not so much. So physics I dropped, I left that behind, and I picked up some extra credits learning sociology and humanities and history. And that led to a really, really well-rounded degree for me. And thankfully, due to having professors and colleagues who pushed me to do better, I learned that passion plus effort will result in progress. So yes, I had my ups and downs at university, but in the end, I made some good choices, and I managed to graduate with honors on the Dean's Honors List, which is actually the top percentiles at university. Of course, I made some bad decisions along the way as well, but we learn growth is a choice. We have to choose to be better. We have to choose to study, to be better than what we innately are. Because of that, I joined a teaching program at my university called Youth University, which was really, really cool. High school students moved to the university for about 4 days. They lived in the dorms, and we taught them science in the university labs. It was an amazing program, and it inspired me to do my PGCE. So I left Canada, flew to England, and was accepted on a PGCE program, an education program. Unfortunately, the funding was cut from the program, and I was now left in a new country with no plan, no idea, meaning I was unemployed. And that, as an adult, is one of the scariest places we can be, unemployment. Fortunately, I had science as my safety net. So once again, I found myself as a lab technician. Right, I could apply the sciences I'd learned in my undergraduate degree, and I could enjoy the vocation that I'd entered. I did that for about 6 months, 8 months, and really, that growth mindset was still there. It just wasn't enough. So I applied to do my doctoral degree. I was fortunate to have been accepted to an amazing program in Nottingham University, which was a 4-year program. Uncovered some amazing things. We don't have time to talk about that today, but it was phenomenal. It had its ups, it had its downs, but it was a brand new passport for me. Science became my passport. It took me all around the world. I led conferences in Oslo, Norway, in Netherlands, well, you can see, all around the world. And eventually, I was recognized for my effort from the Japanese government, and I got a fellowship from the FJSPS, Fellowship for the Japan Society for the Promotion of Sciences. And so they flew me out to Kobe, where I had an amazing time doing research in a brand new country with a brand new language. It really tests your mettle, learning a new language, not knowing anybody, and it was amazing. This is me at the top of Mount Fuji, and that sparked something else inside of me. Travel, passion for travel. So when I got back from Japan and I graduated with my thesis, my doctoral degree, we sold our cars, sold our house, gave all of our possessions to charity, and decided to backpack the world. As you can see from these photos, this is a typical Instagram reel. This is all we see when we look at Instagram. But of course, it doesn't tell you the trials and tribulations when you make a decision like we had made. You can't see, for example, when I was swimming in the Amazon River, I was bitten by a piranha. And you can't see, after this photo in Bolivia was taken, my wife and I were kidnapped. Or so we thought. The biggest trial to date was on the left there. That's Mount Cayambe in Ecuador. And we were ascending up to 18,000 feet. And I had dengue fever at the time from our trekking in Peru. That was extremely physically and mentally demanding. What I thought would be the most physically and mentally demanding task I'd ever done, until 12 hours later, on our descent, our mountain guide abandoned us in a blizzard. And if you ever needed a litmus test to see just what kind of tough stuff you're made out of, that was it. So we came unscathed, we survived, and eventually found ourselves in Asia on the sunny shores of Hong Kong. I had my bachelor's degree in hand, my dean's honors list, I had a PhD, a fellowship. I was flying. I thought I was on top of the world until I was unemployed. Once again, in a foreign land, I didn't know anyone. What can I do? Why do I keep hitting these barriers? Well, fortunately, I had science as a background. And I worked in a school as a technician. And I absolutely loved it. It reignited that spark for learning. And as you can see, I managed to get on, finally, years later, the PGCE program for education. And so I completed that internationally, and that was about 10 years ago now. We lived 6 years in Hong Kong. We moved to Portugal for a few years, and now this is my second year in Qatar. And it's been an amazing journey. But clearly, my real does not look like what most people think, and most students think their journey is going to look like. And I think that's a powerful message. We all have these aspirations, and we're going to hit bumps in the road as we go along. And it's how we overcome, how we get back on that horse that really shows us who we are. So for me, what was my formula that got me through it? Passion. When I got to university, I found that passion of biology. And it didn't seem like work anymore. It didn't seem like studying. It was something I loved to do. People. Surrounding yourself with the right people. I had a loving family in Canada, an amazing family in England who welcomed me with open arms, an incredible family in Japan who brought me into their research team, and all of them pushed me to do better, go further. But the most important for students and adults alike is perseverance. Knowing that if we keep pushing, keep going on, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Okay? Failure is just data, something we can use to grow from. Okay? So if I had any advice for the adults and students in the room, don't be afraid of changing paths. Don't be afraid of failure. It's just another point, another step forward. Ask questions and ask for help. You have many people in your lives who are there who can help you along the way. Ask for support. And lastly, don't just look at the end, the goal. It's the journey and the steps we take to get there that are the meaningful ones. Okay? Thank you very much.